So I build community by mixing it up, personally and professionally. And so I just wanted to spend a little time telling you about my position on mixing it up, which is really what I'm going to talk about today. And I have to take you back to, so how did I get to this place where I'm thinking about mixing it up? And I think it started when I was a little girl, and I grew up in Panama, in a West Indian household in a Latin country. So there's a lot of mixing up going on there. With a mother who followed the rules in many ways, but in her civic engagement life, she really liked to mix it up. And so I really just observed that as I was growing up. And she was, for instance, the first woman in a civic social club, much like the Rotary or the Lions like we have here. And then she went on to be the first president of that club. And next thing you know, the club is different, and there are all these events and fundraising events, and there's a Mother's Day event, and other women are joining, and the club is more influential and different and better for the community. She also was very involved in her church, and I grew up in the Episcopal Church, and in Panama, the Episcopal Church members are really the West Indian people. So the services are in English, and we follow that Anglican British tradition. Well, but Panama is a Spanish-speaking country, and she noted that over the years, she felt like there were less and less people coming to church. But there's still lots of people in Panama. So her thought was, why don't we also have Spanish language services so that we can get more people and, you know, build that community and work towards that. And today, that's definitely the case for the Anglican Church, at least in Panama, where you can enjoy an English language service and a Spanish language service. So I think that part of this need that I have to mix it up comes from observing my mother live her life in that way. And then when I turned 17 and I graduated from high school, my parents made a decision for me, and that was that I would come to Denver and go to college here. In fact, right here at DU, it looked very different than it looks now, because I had a sister here, and that would be easier, and that's just how we do it. So I did what I was told, and here I am, and I went to DU. And here's this girl from Panama, and I always talk about myself as practically an island girl in Denver, where there's snow, and it's cold, and people ski, and they go backpacking, and what do I know about all of that stuff? Nothing. So, so I didn't mix it up, but somebody put me in a position where they mixed it up for me, right? And so I'm here at DU, and I'm learning, and I'm doing great, and I'm thinking, boy, if I don't really mix this up, I'm going to be bored for 4 years at the school. So I learned to ski. I enjoyed the outdoors. I went to hockey games. I heard about lacrosse for the first time in my life, and really just had fun, met people. And all of a sudden, now I'm in Denver and I have a little community. I built a little community because I mixed it up. So now I'm thinking, wow, this mixing things up is really working out for me. I better do some more of that. And so I'm living my life, and I'm graduating from college, and I think, well, I'm just gonna go to graduate school, and I'm gonna do part of that graduate school in London. And I do that. And then I come back home to Denver, and I decide I'm gonna mentor 2 kids at 2 different times. Boy, that's mixing it up, right? And during that mentoring time, I learn a lot about, I have no kids, I learn a lot about teenagers and what they're thinking and how they behave, and I'm mixing it up and learning. So then I'm just I'm just interested in this mixing it up, and I like it, you know? And then I had a big mix-up. Then I met the love of my life. I have two loves, and I met the first love of my life. And he's this white boy from New Hampshire who loved to run into burning buildings as a firefighter and who climbed mountains with crampons and ice picks, and never have I heard of this. And nobody that I know that I grew up with does this, right? So I say, I'm going to mix it up with you. And I end up marrying that person, and I take him back home to Panama to meet my peeps. And that's a big mix-up for him, isn't it, too? So, we get married, and we have, we go to Panama, and people meet him, and it's all great. And I have a friend who says to me, well, you know, you married one of those crazy Americans who do dangerous things. I don't know how you do that. And I simply said, yeah, I mixed it up, didn't I? I felt really good about that. So I think I just keep moving along and finding, now I'm being intentional about mixing it up. It's not just happening. I'm really deciding I'm going to mix it up. And I have a teenager now, but when he was a little kid, I intentionally said, I'm going to mix it up for this little boy. And I worked, so he did daycare and summer camps and all of those things. All of those things that he did, I said, I'm going to mix it up for him. So I signed him up to do all his summer camps and all his after-school stuff at the Jewish Community Center. And I was intentional about that. And what resulted from that was this amazing exposure for this little kid who played basketball with little kids who wore a little hat on their head, and he would come home, and he came home one day and said to me, so Mom, all my little friends at the Jewish Community Center that play basketball with me have a little hat on their head, and I don't. Why is that? What a great way to have a conversation and to start the dialogue about differences, right? Now, there are some unintended consequences about mixing it up. He also said to me, well, I heard, Mom, one of my little friends at the Jewish JCC said that when Hanukkah comes around, they get a gift a day for 8 days. Why don't we do that? And I said, another opportunity to talk about what that means and what that tradition is for others. But we don't roll that way. So, so I think it all started with my personal need to mix it up, and it's all moved into my professional need and my professional life and the choices that I've made in my career to mix it up. I went from the private sector to the nonprofit sector, and I now really believe that it is my job in my work every day to mix it up in any way that I can. And you mix it up not by making necessarily huge change happen, but I mix it up by being the person that raises my hand and says, I don't think everybody's represented at this table, and I think they should. Or, I don't think everybody in this community is going to understand what they need to do when X happens if we don't put this in a certain language, right? So it's not about going out there and changing the world, but it's about just finding little ways in which you can personally mix it up for you and for others, and in ways in which you can, by doing that, are building community. I really personally believe that it is my job to say, to see boardrooms being mixed up, to see executive tables be mixed up, to see communication materials be mixed up, so that everybody can understand what they need to know, so that everybody can have a role and have a say, and so that everybody can feel a part of the community and be a part of the solutions, right? I mean, we need to mix up the rules, and we need to mix up who makes the rules, because things are changing. And mixing it up is the only way to find a really good solution to a problem, right? I mean, I really always feel the need, if it arises, if that's the situation, to say, you know, here's what I'm going to say for sure. I don't even know what the right mix is. I just know we need to mix it up, right? We need a more conservative perspective around this table because we don't have it. We need to ask the people that we're trying to help with our programs or our services if that's really going to help them, if they really feel that's helpful. Or we should ask them, what would be helpful? It's all about just bringing others to the table, listening to lots of different perspectives, and building community by letting others in and by allowing yourself, really, myself is what I've done, to be exposed and experience things that I've never seen before, that I've never heard of before. And I will continue to mix it up because it's worked for me, because I've been able to help others, and because it's really, really fun to do. So I invite you to do that, and I thank you for the opportunity to share that with you.